In life, we all crave a sense of autonomy and freedom. We want to feel like we are the captains of our own ships, steering our lives toward our chosen destinations. Yet, many of us find ourselves in situations where we feel controlled by others, be it in personal relationships, at work, or within our social circles. We often ask ourselves, how did I end up here? The truth is, allowing yourself to be controlled is a complex process that doesn't happen overnight. It's rooted in a combination of psychological, emotional, and social factors that can be difficult to untangle. This video will explore these factors, shedding light on why you might be letting yourself be controlled and how you can regain your sense of agency. The need for approval. One of the most common reasons people allow themselves to be controlled is the deep-seated need for approval. From a young age, many of us are conditioned to seek validation from others, whether it's from our parents, teachers, or peers. This desire for approval can follow us into adulthood, making us vulnerable to manipulation and control. When we crave approval, we become more likely to prioritize others' opinions and desires over our own. This need for approval often stems from a lack of self-esteem. If you don't believe in your own worth, you'll look to others to define it for you. This can lead to a situation where you allow someone else to dictate your actions, beliefs, and even your identity. You might stay in a toxic relationship because you fear losing the approval of your partner. You might tolerate an overbearing boss because you don't want to jeopardize your standing at work. The underlying fear is that if you assert yourself, you'll lose the approval you so desperately seek. Fear of conflict. Conflict is uncomfortable for most people. However, for some, the fear of conflict is so overwhelming that they will go to great lengths to avoid it, even if it means giving up their own power. This fear can make you an easy target for control because you're unwilling to challenge the person who is exerting influence over you. People who fear conflict often internalize the belief that keeping the peace is more important than asserting their needs or opinions. This mindset can be particularly prevalent in people who grew up in environments where conflict was either avoided at all costs or handled in a destructive manner. If your early experiences taught you that conflict leads to pain, rejection, or chaos, it's no surprise that you'd want to avoid it as an adult. Unfortunately, avoiding conflict comes at a high cost. When you refuse to stand up for yourself, you're essentially handing over control to the other person. You might think you're preserving harmony, but in reality, you're creating a dynamic where your needs are consistently sidelined. The illusion of security. Control often masquerades as security. When someone exerts control over you, they may convince you that they're doing so for your own good. They might tell you that they know what's best for you, that they're protecting you from making mistakes, or that their way is the only way. This creates an illusion of security that can be very enticing, especially if you're feeling uncertain or vulnerable. This dynamic is particularly common in abusive relationships. The controlling partner might position themselves as the protector, the one who knows what's best, and the one who can keep you safe. Over time, you may come to believe that your security depends on staying within the confines of the control they've established. The fear of losing that perceived security can be so strong that you willingly relinquish your autonomy. However, this security is an illusion because it's built on the suppression of your own will. True security comes from within. It's rooted in your confidence, self-respect, and ability to navigate life's challenges on your own terms. When you let someone else control you in exchange for security, you're trading your freedom for a false sense of safety. At the core of many control dynamics is the issue of self-worth. If you don't believe you deserve to be treated with respect, it's easy to fall into the trap of letting others control you. Low self-worth often leads to a lack of boundaries, making you more susceptible to manipulation. People with low self-worth may feel that they don't deserve to have their needs met, or that their opinions don't matter. This mindset can make it difficult to assert yourself or resist control because you've internalized the belief that you're not worthy of better treatment. You might stay in a controlling relationship because you think it's the best you can do, or you might allow a friend to dictate your decisions because you believe their opinions are more valid than yours. Building self-worth is a crucial step in breaking free from control. When you recognize your inherent value, you become less willing to tolerate situations where you're disrespected or manipulated. You begin to set boundaries, assert your needs, and take control of your own life. The fear of abandonment is a powerful force that can keep you trapped in controlling situations. If you're afraid of being left alone, you might allow yourself to be controlled because you believe it's the only way to keep the relationship intact. This fear often stems from past experiences of loss or rejection, leading you to equate control with stability. In relationships, the fear of abandonment can make you overly accommodating. You might go along with whatever the other person wants, even if it's against your best interests, because you're terrified of losing them. This dynamic can be especially damaging because it erodes your sense of self over time. You become so focused on keeping the other person happy that you lose sight of your own needs and desires. Overcoming the fear of abandonment requires you to confront the root of your fear and develop a sense of self-sufficiency. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't dependent on another person's presence in your life. When you learn to be comfortable with yourself, you become less afraid of being alone and more willing to walk away from controlling situations. Learned helplessness is a psychological condition where a person feels powerless to change their situation, even when they have the ability to do so. This feeling of helplessness often develops after repeated exposure to uncontrollable events. Over time, you may start to believe that you have no control over your life, leading you to accept control from others. People who experience learned helplessness often feel trapped in their circumstances. They might think, what's the point of trying? Nothing I do will make a difference. This mindset can make you more susceptible to control because you've internalized the belief that you're incapable of making your own decisions or taking action. To break free from learned helplessness, it's important to challenge this belief and take small steps toward reclaiming your power. Start by setting and achieving small goals, which can help rebuild your confidence and sense of agency. Recognize that while you can't control everything, you do have the power to influence your life and make choices that align with your values. Emotional dependence occurs when you rely on another person to fulfill your emotional needs. When you're emotionally dependent, you might allow yourself to be controlled because you believe that your happiness, self-worth, or identity is tied to the other person. This dependence can create a dynamic where the other person holds all the power, dictating your emotions and actions. In emotionally dependent relationships, the fear of losing the source of your emotional support can be overwhelming. You might think, I can't survive without them, or I need them to feel whole. This belief can make you willing to tolerate control, manipulation, and even abuse because the alternative, being alone, seems unbearable. Developing emotional independence is key to breaking free from this type of control. Emotional independence doesn't mean cutting yourself off from others. It means cultivating a sense of self that isn't reliant on external validation or support. It's about building your own emotional resilience and learning to meet your needs without relying on someone else to do it for you. Social conditioning plays a significant role in why people allow themselves to be controlled. From a young age, we're taught to conform to certain social norms and expectations. For example, many cultures teach women to be passive, submissive, and accommodating, while men are often taught to be dominant and assertive. These gender roles can create power imbalances that lead to control. Beyond gender, social conditioning can come from cultural, religious, or familial influences that dictate how we should behave. If you've been conditioned to believe that obedience is a virtue or that challenging authority is wrong, you might find it difficult to resist control. You may even internalize these beliefs to the point where you don't realize you're being controlled because it feels normal or expected. Breaking free from social conditioning involves questioning the beliefs and values that have been ingrained in you. It's about recognizing that just because something is socially acceptable doesn't mean it's right for you. When you start to define your own values and priorities, you become less susceptible to external control. Manipulation and gaslighting are tactics often used by controlling individuals to keep you in their grasp. Manipulation involves subtly influencing your thoughts and actions, often without your awareness. Gaslighting, on the other hand, is a form of psychological abuse where the manipulator makes you doubt your reality, memory, or sanity. These tactics can be incredibly disorienting and can make you question your judgment. Over time, you might come to believe that you're the problem, that you're overreacting, or that you can't trust your perceptions. This eroded sense of self can make it easier for the other person to exert control over you because you're no longer confident in your ability to make decisions. Recognizing manipulation and gaslighting is the first step in breaking free from them. Educate yourself on these tactics and learn to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Surround yourself with supportive people who can help you see the situation clearly and affirm your reality. Finally, the fear of change can be a powerful force that keeps you trapped in a controlling situation. Change is inherently uncertain, and for many people, the unknown is scarier than the discomfort of the status quo. Even if you're unhappy, you might think, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. This fear can lead you to rationalize staying in a situation where you're controlled because the alternative, change, feels too risky. However, growth only happens outside your comfort zone. Staying in a situation where you're controlled might feel safe, but it's holding you back from becoming the person you're meant to be. Change is difficult, but it's also necessary for personal development. By embracing change, you open yourself up to new possibilities and opportunities for growth. Allowing yourself to be controlled is not a reflection of your weakness. It's a reflection of the complex factors that influence human behavior. Whether it's the need for approval, fear of conflict, low self-worth, or any of the other reasons discussed, understanding why you've allowed yourself to be controlled is the first step toward regaining your autonomy. The journey to reclaiming control begins with self-awareness. By identifying the patterns and beliefs that have led you to this point, you can start to challenge them. Set boundaries, build your self-worth, and surround yourself with supportive people who respect your autonomy. Remember, you have the power to shape your life, make your own decisions, and live according to your values. It's time to take back control. Thanks for watching, and take care of you or find someone who does.